Good morning, Deer Park. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2015. Hope you're having a happy hump day because the people in Baltimore are not. More on that later. I'm Cole Triplett.
And I'm Remington Taylor. We have a great show for you today, but first we focus on how students can contribute to the community and also gain volunteer hours. Emily and Stephanie have more.
Volunteering is something that most people shy away from and don't like to participate in. Today more than ever, we need hardworking people to do amazing things for those around them. We talked to several students about the importance of volunteering and ways you can get involved.
Volunteering has affected me by caring for others. Ever since I started volunteering, it made me realize that people out there really do need help, and people like me can help them. So with that, it just gives me this gift that I have and help them so they wouldn't be so lonely anymore. And I hate people being lonely. Some volunteer work that I've started with was with the church. We go to downtown Houston and we feed the less fortunate.
One of the many ways to get yourself out there is by joining a club. A great one for getting volunteer hours is the Interact Club. Ms. Kiefer sat down and explained to us exactly what Interact is.
Interact Club is a service organization for high school students who are interested in giving back to their community. Anyone can join Interact Club. We do ask that they join towards the beginning of the year so that we can get them involved in all of the service activities. We do a variety of activities. We actually went to the Outdoor Learning Center in March and helped clean up out there. They did a lot of pulling weeds and just helping out however needed out there. I think volunteering helps students not only feel better about themselves because you're giving back, and that feels good, I think, for anyone, whether you're a high school student or an adult. Just giving back to the community, it makes me feel good, and I think it makes our students feel like, they have a little bit of ownership in the community and giving back and doing what they can to make it better.
And if you're still on the fence about volunteering, maybe some of the great benefits will change your mind.
Another great thing and an honor for volunteering is that if high school students earn at least 25 hours each year, that would be a total of 100 hours by their senior year. They actually get to wear cords at graduation, and that kind of sets them apart from other students. But it also helps for college applications. It looks really good if you have volunteer hours, volunteer work throughout high school. They don't want to see just, oh, you volunteered one Saturday for this. They want to see a consistent volunteer work ethic. It also looks good on scholarship applications. And actually Interact has a scholarship itself, so seniors who are actively involved in Interact and attend meetings have the opportunity to apply for a scholarship.
Volunteering is simple, and it only takes you to help make a big difference. This is Emily Martin for the Deer Network.
Thanks, girls, and if you would like to know more, see Ms. Kiefer in the counselor's office. And now for your weekly news. Baltimore is under a state of emergency after riots occurred all over the town earlier this week. These riots come after the funeral of Freddie Gray, who died in police custody last week. Buildings have been burning, and people are now including small children to help them in this riot against the police. While the riots are starting lower, it is still a serious enough issue for the city to impose a curfew and cancel multiple sporting events.
While many Apple fanboys were waiting over the weekend for the release of the new Apple Watch, this man decided to throw one into a blender as part of his series Will It Blend. As you can see, he seems to have no mercy on the $350 device, and it is demolished beautifully inside the blender, turning it into a fine pile of powder. This again reminds us that we are a people who are much too concerned about our technology and need to blend it up every once in a while.
Don't forget that AP tests are coming up and will haunt you for the next 2 weeks. If you've signed up for them, you will need to know a few things. If your test is in the morning, you will need to arrive at 7:20 a.m. and if it's in the afternoon, 11:30. You can check both the location and day of your test outside the counselor's office. Also, if you have 2 tests on the same day, you will need to bring a sack lunch. You will not have time to eat in the cafeteria.
The 2015 Powder Puff game is upon us on Friday, May 22nd, and all juniors and seniors are encouraged to pick up an application form from the AP's office to join in the game. Money is due on the 11th of May, and it should be fun to see the senior girls going up against the juniors in a football game to determine the 2015 champions. Papa Roland and I will be up in the booth calling the game this year and judging all the men cheerleading. We hope to see you there. Well, a hot topic in today's media is if violent video games cause barbaric outbursts and public attacks. Lucio Vasquez took some time to debunk this myth.
Throughout the country, video games have been blamed for several tragedies.
Vicious, violent video games with names like Bulletstorm, Grand Theft Auto, Mortal Kombat.
Violence in the entertainment culture.
What about the violence in our video games?
Call of Duty could have contributed to the tragedies like the one in Newtown, Connecticut.
This has caused video games to be blamed for everything while the real problems are being ignored. On September 13, 2013, a man named Aaron Alexis, who's had a history of mental breakdowns and had incidents with firearms in the past, brought a shotgun into a military facility and killed 12 people while wounding 4 others. After the incident, politicians ignored the actual problem.
In the Impact segment tonight, the Navy Yard killer, Aaron Alexis, apparently played violent video games almost every night.
Several politicians blamed video games instead of the actual reasons for the shooting, such as gun control and the mental instability of an employee.
Blaming this on guns is like saying that the big problem with obesity is we've got too many spoons. It's not the spoons, it's not the guns, it's the people who have them.
It's not the games that kill, it's obviously the guns. These people who do these acts of violence all have one thing in common. They are mentally unstable, and I'm sure they were like that before they even touched a video game. Just because video games are found in a killer's home does not mean the video games actually made them kill. That's like finding spoons in a fat person's home and saying, no wonder this person is fat. Look at all these spoons. Grand Theft Auto 5 was blamed for the shooting, even though it was released after the shooting had even occurred. This story, as well as many others, are examples of video games being misrepresented in the media. Many people are calling for the censorship of these video games, but it wouldn't be fair due to the fact that these video games are works of art, and censoring them would be a violation of the First Amendment. So many people blame video games like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto for tragedies such as Sandy Hook and the Aurora Theater shooting because they're an easy target. Meanwhile, the actual problem, which is how mentally unstable people are able to get their hands on weapons in the first place, is ignored. Video games weren't meant to harm society. They were just meant for an escape, like books and movies and TV. While sometimes the contents of these works of art are questionable, at the end of the day, they're all pieces of entertainment. And just because a handful of psychopaths played video games does not mean that the video games themselves made them into cold-blooded killers. This has been Lucio Vasquez for the Deer Network.
That's some fine reporting there, Lucio, and we all thank you for your hard work. Well, that wraps up our show for today, and we thank you again for joining us this week.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Deer Network for behind the scenes and story ideas. For The Deer Network, I'm Remington Taylor.
And I'm Cole Triplett. Hey, stay hungry out there.